Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, and welcome to the first devlog for Spellbent, a new dev project from my brother Ben and my duo dev team, Low-Key Serious. Ben and I have been best friends ever since we were super little and have always wanted to make games together. This is us when we were kids, and this is us now. Over the past 5 years, we've been working on dev projects together. I do the programming, and Ben does the art and music. A few years ago, we released our first game to the Google Play Store. It was super hard and really awful. But we were really proud of it and we learned a lot from the process. Even more recently, we made a Lunar Lander style inspired game that we released to both app stores, and we're actually really proud of that one as well. We've been workshopping and prototyping Spellbent for the last year or so and finally have it to a point where we feel like it's ready to start a devlog. Timing wise, that works out perfectly for me. My wife and I recently had a baby, so I have 16 weeks of parental leave that I can use to work on my game. I won't have as much time as I'd like, but I'll definitely have more time than I did before. So my challenge for myself is to make enough progress on my game every week that I can release a update video to the devlog. So if you'd like to follow along, make sure to subscribe. And if you like what we do, make sure to give us a thumbs up and comment down below. Spellbent is a 2D exploration-based action RPG with what I think are some really cool farming sim and base building mechanics that we've designed. It's set in a world of colliding dimensions where magic is oozing into the world in the form of a purple goo-like substance, and pockets have opened up into an unknown world. You play as a character who, upon starting out as a shopkeeper's apprentice, sets off to build back an ancient, ruined town to its former glory. So let's dive in and take a look at our progress so far. As you can see, we're building the game in Unity. It's the engine we're most familiar with and has the most support for the platforms that we want to release Spellbent on. So like I said before, we've spent the last year or so prototyping Spellbent. A lot of the ideas that we've had haven't been developed yet, but let's take a look at what we do have so far. So far we have basic sprite work done and a lot of the animations done for the player character. One of the big things that we have done is a really basic tile mapping system. I didn't love the one that Unity has built in, and I wanted to take more of a programmatic approach to creating our tile map. So I have a custom tile mapping system built out that builds out a background mesh that has our world's tiles in it. Another one of the bigger things that I've been working on is chunk loading for the game. If you take a look at the scene, we can see that the game objects here are loaded only in the locality of the player character. And then we can go even further and check out how we have the game is also based in larger chunks that only render the 9 chunks that are relevant to the player at the time. So wherever the player moves, the smaller portions of the game load, I call those crumbs. But then as he moves more, the larger portions of the game load, and I call those ones chunks. And so whatever the player needs to see will always be in view. And the last thing that we've done is we have a pretty detailed save model for the game that's really good at saving the state of the world. So if I destroy this tree and get the wood from it all the way, once that's destroyed and we save the game, that tree will be gone. And so we have a pretty good save game system in place and working. So what I'm going to be working on today is actually implementing the crafting menu so that we can turn the materials that we have into something with this crafting table here. Right now, nothing happens when I click on this, and what we're wanting to happen is for the UI to open up and to allow us to craft things from the materials that we have. So let's get into that and we'll get back to you when we're done. So me being the super rookie video maker that I am, this is literally my first video ever. I don't have any more of the footage of me developing the rest of the crafting interface. I have no idea where it went. And so luckily we have the finished product, and so we can just walk through it and take a look at the things that we got done. So we have the crafting interface UI all laid out, and basically it consists of three separate parts. We have the nav bar with all of the tabs of the different types of items the player is going to be able to craft at the crafting table. We have basically it's going to be a grid of all of the items that the player can craft in the tab menu that they're in. And then we have the info panel here on the right that when a player selects an item, it'll show up here, and then all of the ingredients required to craft that item will populate these lower images. So let us know what you think of that. We're wanting to know how intuitive people think it is. So comment down below if you think it's intuitive or what you would do to make it better. But basically, that's all there really is to it. We populate the grid over here in the script, and I wanted to show you what that looks like. I don't want to get too deep into the implementation details because I want to kind of make a side-by-side tutorial series with the devlog showing exactly how I do things so that other people can hopefully learn from the mistakes that I made and hopefully learn how to implement similar things in their own projects. So let's go over and take a look at the code that we'll use to populate that grid. So what we're looking at here is the crafting recipes class. All this does is act as a container for all of our crafting recipes and holds information on whether or not the player knows them. So what you can see in the weapons and shields dictionary is that there are three crafting IDs here and a Boolean determining whether or not the player knows them. And what we can do with that in our crafting interface grid, which is the area that we looked at before that is going to contain all the crafting icons, is we can grab that from our save game, and depending on the current tab that we're in, we can iterate over that dictionary, grab all the key value pairs off of it, and then we can instantiate a grid item based on that list. And what we can do from there is whenever we click on one of those items that contains the information, we can populate the right-hand panel with all of the information that the player needs to know about it in order to know if they can craft it or not. And I just thought that was a really cool thing. I'd never done anything that takes like data from the back end, if you will, and iterated it onto a Unity UI in order to display some sort of dynamic content. And so I just thought that was kind of a cool thing that I learned in the process of making the crafting interface. So let's go over and take a look at this in the actual game. All right, so first things first, we just need to get some crafting materials. The only crafting material in the game right now is wood because we haven't taken the time to program anything else into it. There will be many more crafting materials in the game. Then we can come over here and we can right click on the crafting table and our crafting interface that we worked on pops up. And if we go to the weapons and armors tab, we can see those three weapons and armor that we talked about in the code. The code was able to iterate over that dictionary and map out these three crafting interface items so that whenever we click on them, populates over here. We can see that this shield costs 1 wood. And then we can click this craft button and we can make as many shields as we want, make as many wands as we have wood available, and staffs. And right now those don't do anything. They're just items to craft as we're working on the crafting interface and the crafting system. But as you can see, once we run out of crafting materials, we can no longer craft the item. So yeah, that's pretty much everything we were able to get done with the crafting system. I really like the interface that we have set up. Let us know down below what you think of it. We'd really be interested to see if you guys think it's intuitive or not, and if you think there's anything that should be changed or just doesn't make sense. We're basically the only people who look at this, and so we'd love to hear what other people have to say on whether or not they think it makes sense on how to use. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. It means so much to us to be able to share what we're creating with you all. We're super open to feedback, so let us know in the comments down below if you have any suggestions. We'd love to hear what you have to say about game mechanics, game design, sprite design, UI design, anything like that. We'd love to hear about it. And especially when it comes to video editing and video making, I've never done this before, so any tips or suggestions that you all have would be super helpful. I'd love to make my videos better. We're super excited to be able to continue to share all of our updates to Spellbent with you, so if you'd like to be notified when we post a new one, make sure to subscribe and ring the little bell so that you can be notified anytime we make a video. And then I guess we'll just see you in the next one.